Alright gang, back to it. 'Tis the season for Dr. D's Health Tip of the Week. It is May, and even though it snowed yesterday, things are starting to bloom. That means we're going to start getting exposed to higher pollen counts. Pollen and other environmental factors like foods can have type 1 mediated immune system responses. And we've talked about this in the past. Type 1 mediated allergies are your traditional allergist allergies. They run with immunoglobulin E, histamine, and eosinophils on lab. It doesn't always fit the textbook, but these are the things that usually would show up on a skin scratch test as well. I light up to grass pollen, so when they skin scratch my back, I'll have these giant histamine responses to grass pollen. During that skin scratch, they'll always use a little control patch where they inject you with histamine and make sure that you even respond to histamine. That's not the problem with our seasonal allergy sufferers. They're having overzealous degranulation or breakdown of the mast cell. Histamine is dumping into the system and they will feel really lousy. I promise you to be mindful of your mood when you're histamine dumping. For me, one of the biggest experiences of grass pollen allergy is depression. So I'll tell the wife and kids, Daddy doesn't feel good, he's feeling a little agitated. I'll go shower, do my neti pot, break out my anti-inflammatory antihistamine herbs, start pounding them, and a day or two later, histamine dampens in my brain and I can feel my good, happy-go-lucky self again. So really be mindful of when you get into the exposure of things that you have allergens to, you're going to degranulate or break down these mast cells full with these histamine granules, and histamine's going to leave your cell and start binding at the histamine 1 receptor. Histamine 2 receptors are in the gut for things like hydrochloric acid. We're talking about histamine 1 receptors, which are in the brain, in the systems, cutaneous flushes in the bloodstream, and so on and so forth. My favorite methods to dampen my own allergies is barrier methods. N95 dust mask, these are from Home Depot, Lowe's, your local hardware store, and they're the beefier masks. They cost about $2 each, and if I'm in the garden or mowing my lawn, you're trying to make basically a barrier condom between you and the environment. So I'm maybe infamous in my neighborhood for wearing N95 dust masks and just throwing down mulch and chopping down trees and picking fruit and mowing lawns, etc. If I'm just going out to pick a cucumber, I don't wear an N95 dust mask. But when you're really getting in the garden, I'll even bring one of these on a camping trip if it's doing crazy grass pollen and we get the wind going for a little bit. If I'm setting up my tent in the wind, I might wear an N95 dust mask for 20 minutes, right? But especially for heavy duty yard work. And then use an organic healthy oil. After I do my glorified neti pot, I will actually use something like an organic olive oil and just do a 360-degree booger picking style swoop of my nostrils. You're just trying to oil up so that when these pollens hit, they don't stimulate your mucosal membranes and trigger histamine responses so intensely. And then we want to rinse and repeat. I've used the original porcelain neti pot. I've used the Sinugator is my favorite one. That's a 3 AA powered sinus rinser. It comes with NeilMed saline packets, pH balanced with a little baking soda so it doesn't sting. I like to do it in the shower. I'll get the shower head going on my yin tong and my large intestine 20. This acupuncture point translates to opens the nose, so I'll really get the steam going there. And then I have just a little ceramic cup with some of the packets and my neti pot there. If you're in a municipality with decent money in the bank to do clean water, I just use the water from the shower, put my pack in there, rinse this side, farmer blow, rinse this side, farmer blow, and then you're done. Then you can wipe a little bit of oil in on your bad days. And then I really start cranking up my natural antihistamines. My favorite is Histo-X from Apex. I do teach on the road for Apex, but when Dr. Karazi and my good buddy and colleague came out with the Histo-X formula, I was blown away because I had already tried quercetin and nettles in many formulas before, and it really didn't work for my allergies. Even when I crank it up, we have nettles growing in our yard, we'll cook with them, they dampen my allergies a little bit. but there's something about the addition of ginger, mangosteen, and butterbur in this product, and you don't have to use the Apex one, but these are the 5 ingredients in there, and they're all histamine 1 antagonists. They block. So if you're using quercetin or one of these, just crank up the dose and know that in my personal experience working with patients and on my own allergies, there's something special about mangosteen or butterbur, because in the past when I've used ginger, nettles, and quercetin, we get some dampening of the allergies, but I have never seen something work like Histo-X, the combo of these 5 on lowering whole blood cell histamine on pre and post follow-up blood draws. So there's the medicine and there's the dose. For something like the Apex Histo-X, I'll use about 4 capsules 4 times a day when histamine comes on in between meals. As a generalization, vitamin and minerals with food, herbs can be without food. And then as soon as I get relief, I stay at that high dose for a day or 2, and then I'll go down to 3 times a day. I'll stay there a little bit. If my allergies symptoms get back, I'll go back up to 4 times a day. But I'm eventually going to be able to get down to about 3 or 4 capsules twice a day during allergy season. For me, it starts about May and the grass pollens end about July 4th, and then Histo-X can go back on the shelf until next year. So whatever product you're using, when you're using herbals, crank it up until the symptoms relief, and then see if you can titrate back down as you're doing your Barron methods, your daily repeat. I do my Sinugator every single day, 365. I do the barrier dust mask every time I'm really getting deep and dirty in the garden. And I'll use my Histo-X whenever I'm feeling a histamine response, which for me is about 2 to 3 months out of the year. For you might be spring and fall allergies. Remember, this can dry you out, crank up the water, get the histamine off the brain, be happy and enjoy your garden again. We'll see you next time on Dr. D's Health Tip of the Week.